right now.
Somewhere on Earth,
A parent is panicking because their baby won't stop crying.
maybe they're checking Google.
Maybe they're calling a doctor.
Maybe they're desperately watching a YouTube video titled,
Why is my baby making that noise?
Modern parenting is difficult.
But imagine raising a child
without medicine,
without hospitals,
Without diapers.
without baby formula,
without strollers,
Without a house.
without even knowing what bacteria are.
Now imagine doing all of that.
While lions existed.
And yet somehow,
Your ancestors managed to keep enough children alive to create 8 billion humans.
Which raises a strange question. How did ancient humans actually keep their children alive?
because statistically speaking,
They really shouldn't have.
For most of human history,
Childhood was incredibly dangerous.
today,
If a child gets sick,
There are doctors.
Medicine.
emergency rooms, vaccines,
ancient humans had none of that.
A simple infection could become deadly.
a small injury could become fatal.
Even getting enough food every day was never guaranteed.
In many prehistoric populations, a large percentage of children never reached adulthood.
That sounds horrifying.
Because it was.
Yet humans survived.
Not because individual parents were superhuman.
but because humans evolved one of the strangest survival strategies in the animal kingdom.
Teamwork.
Most animals raise their young alone.
A deer gives birth.
The baby stands up.
A few hours later, it's already walking.
Nature basically says,
Good luck.
Human babies are different. Extremely different.
In fact, human babies might be the most helpless young mammals on Earth.
A newborn horse can walk.
A newborn zebra can run.
A newborn human can't even hold its own head up, which is, honestly, a terrible design.
If aliens were evaluating mammals, human babies would probably fail quality control immediately.
So why are human babies so helpless? The answer begins with our brains.
Humans have enormous brains. Compared to body size, they're among the largest in the animal kingdom. Large brains are useful.
They allow language,
Creativity,
problem solving,
technology,
the ability to spend 6 hours arguing with strangers online. But large brains create a problem. Babies need to fit through the mother's pelvis during birth.
There's only so much space available. If human babies stayed in the womb until fully developed,
Their heads would become too large.
Birth would become nearly impossible.
so evolution found a strange solution. Human babies are born early.
Not premature, just unfinished. Compared to many animals, human infants continue major development outside the womb,
Which means parents spend years caring for a child that can't survive alone.
and this is where ancient humans did something unusual.
They didn't raise children alone. Anthropologists call humans cooperative breeders.
Meaning multiple people help raise offspring.
Mothers helped.
Fathers helped.
Grandparents helped.
Older siblings helped.
Aunts helped.
Uncles helped.
Entire tribes helped.
Human children weren't raised by parents.
They were raised by communities.
Imagine a prehistoric camp 50,000 years ago. A mother leaves to gather food.
Someone else watches the child.
An older sibling carries the child.
A grandmother feeds the child.
Another adult protects the group from danger. The responsibility was shared.
Because raising a child alone would have been nearly impossible,
Especially while also trying to survive. This may explain one of the strangest facts in human biology.
Menopause. Most animals reproduce until very late in life.
Humans don't.
Human females often live decades after reproduction ends, which seems strange from an evolutionary perspective.
until you realize grandparents dramatically increase child survival.
Scientists call this the grandmother hypothesis.
Grandmothers became so useful at helping raise children
that living longer itself became advantageous.
Your grandmother might exist because prehistoric childcare was basically a team sport.
Food created another challenge.
Human children require enormous amounts of energy.
Brains are expensive.
A human brain consumes huge amounts of calories.
Even when you're sitting still, ancient parents constantly faced the problem of feeding growing children.
Unlike modern parents, they couldn't simply visit a grocery store.
There was no backup plan.
Every meal required effort.
Every calorie mattered.
This is one reason humans became extraordinarily social.
Sharing food increased survival. A successful hunter didn't always keep everything.
Food moved through the group.
Someone succeeds today.
Someone else succeeds tomorrow.
Over time, everybody benefits.
Children, especially, benefited from this system.
Because a child with access to multiple caregivers had a much higher chance of survival.
But perhaps the biggest threat wasn't hunger. It was danger.
Predators,
Weather.
accidents.
Ancient childhood was filled with risks. A curious child wandering too far from camp could disappear forever.
A river could become deadly.
A storm could become deadly. A predator could become deadly.
Obviously.
Everything seemed determined to become deadly.
Which is why human children evolved something fascinating.
They are naturally attached to caregivers.
Babies cry when separated.
Children seek protection.
Parents feel powerful emotional bonds. Love isn't just poetry.
It's biology.
Evolution built emotional attachment into the system because children who stayed close to adults survived more often.
The parents who cared deeply for their children passed on more genes.
The children who trusted caregivers survived longer.
Generation after generation.
Those emotional systems became stronger.
And surprisingly,
Play became one of the most important survival tools of all.
Children weren't just playing for fun. They were training,
running, climbing,
throwing,
socializing,
Learning cooperation. Learning danger.
learning the rules of the group.
what looks like play is often practice.
A child chasing friends around a campfire was unknowingly preparing for adulthood.
Ancient childhood was harsh.
But it wasn't constant suffering.
Children laughed,
Explored.
made friends,
Played games.
Annoyed adults.
Probably asked endless questions. Some things never change. And here's the amazing part. Despite all the danger,
The system worked.
not perfectly,
But well enough.
because every human alive today descends from children who survived.
Children who made it through illness,
Through predators,
through harsh winters,
through droughts.
through thousands of generations of uncertainty.
right now,
There are more than 8 billion humans on Earth.
every single one traces their ancestry back to ancient children who somehow survived a world that seemed designed to kill them.
Not because ancient humans were stronger,
Not because they were smarter,
but because they helped each other.
in many ways. Human civilization exists because prehistoric parents refused to give up on the next generation. And maybe that's the most important lesson hidden in our species' history.
The thing that kept ancient children alive wasn't technology.
It wasn't medicine.
It wasn't luck. It was other humans.
And in a strange way,
That's still true today.